So I'm going to cover this because I don't think this really got the attention it really deserves. And I think this goes to show that there really is a big problem that's going on in this country, and not a lot of people are paying attention to it. But I think we need to understand what's going on and that there is a problem. So here it is. This is from The Independent. Like I said, I'll leave a link to it down below. But British soldiers with Nazi flags and Hitler pictures racially abuse black colleagues. A former paratrooper has accused his British Army colleagues of decorating their barracks with Nazi flags, racially abusing him and using bigoted slurs. Hani Gadu, I think that's how you say it, who identifies as a black African with Ugandan nationality, said that they displayed pictures of Hitler in their accommodation block, thrashed the corridor he lived in, and drew SWAT stickers on photographs of him in a testimonial submitted to an employment tribunal. After joining the army in 2012, he was later assigned to the 3rd Battalion A Company, where he was formally asked to leave in January of 2018. Now he has since taken the Ministry of Defence to a tribunal, alleging that he suffered racial discrimination and harassment, and the army did not take reasonable steps to prevent it. Another South African, Lance Corporal, has also joined in the claim. During the course of his employment, I noticed that there were Nazi, Confederate and SS flags and photographs of Hitler displayed in A Company's accommodation, which is a stone's throw away from the battalion headquarters, Mr. Grew said. In a statement submitted to the tribunal, this was all passed off as banter, and although I found it very intimidating and offensive as a non-white person. The Ugandan national said that his ex-colleagues used a range of racial slurs I'm not going to repeat them, but used a range of, so I say, colourful racial slurs against him. And in October of 2017, he said that he saw a photograph and a number of his colleagues with Tommy Robinson, the far-right political figure. It was clear to me at that point that racism was prevented in 3rd Para and A Company it was prevalent in 3rd Para and A Company in particular, he said. Things got worse from there. The lawyer representing the MOD says that the army had taken the post very seriously, and that the photograph was taken down, and that a Lance Corporal was demoted. But his account of racial abuse contained numerous other allegations and anecdotes. The former soldier said that he saw someone draw SWAT stickers, Hitler moustaches, and the words, F off and N all over photographs of himself and Mr. Zulan in the January of 2018. The images were left pinned to the door of his room, and the former soldier said that he reported this incident to his commanding officer. He also alleges that on the corridor where he lived alongside a white South African colleague was repeatedly trashed. Doors along the corridor were urinated on, and they had beer bottles smashed against them. There were also graffiti with racial slurs written in marker pen, which the former paratrooper said he had to remove the next day. The ex-paratrooper said that he decided to leave the army after being deployed to Kenya. Under questioning from Mr. Tibbets, the Ugandan national said the deployment came as a big wake-up call. He claimed that he heard members of the battalion use a range of racist language against the locals, including the N and S and African idiots. One corporal repeatedly referred to Kenya as an S-hole, and on arrival, the battalion was alleged to behave. Was told to behave or risk going to prison and getting AIDS. I was shocked at the racial abuse, and it was not just directed at privates, but at non-commissioned officers too, he said. In 2018, after talking to his absolutely horrified mother about his experience and his father's recent death, he decided it was time to leave. The former paratrooper claimed that after he told senior officers he was leaving the army due to racism, battalion commanders recorded his motives for seeking discharge as personal reasons for perceived incidents. So there you can see that there is not only a cover-up going on in the army about very, very prevalent racism going on, but it's very clear that the higher-ups knew what was going on, and that this guy had been racially targeted and motivated. But it's alright, guys, it's just a funny joke. It's just banter, to quote the article. It's not. This is where we get into serious problems. And this is where I've continuously and will campaign there should be laws against using racist speech, because it just shouldn't be allowed. I'm sorry if you feel like it shouldn't, but we've had numerous incidents for the past, just last year alone and this year, of people who have been emboldened because they've been free to use, shall we say, racism freely, and then they've gone on to prevent violence. We know this happens. This happens all the time. Former racists themselves have come forward saying, yeah, when I openly started using racist language, that's when I felt that I could, hit these people. That's not a, that's not in doubt. That's what literally happens. Because as soon as they start freely using racist language, at that point, that's when they start to dehumanize these people. And once they start to dehumanize these people, that's when they start to justify using, violence and, other acts of, blatant out-and-out racism. This is a problem. And we have to start looking at this and taking it seriously. Racism is still a problem in this country. We haven't solved it. It's still there. It's still very prevalent. The problem is that a lot of these people that do use racism on a regular basis now like to try and hide their racism. There's the whole, OK symbol, the whole Pepe the Frog, and the new one, which is the whole clown world thing, which is all racist dog whistling tactics. And we'll go through it in the next video about a university students and why there has been a rise in anti-Semitism at universities. And it doesn't take a lot to figure out why that's happened.